Hello everyone, it's Mark here from Callroute again, and it's the end of the month and it's March, and this means that I have to do a release video to show you what's been happening in the Callroute portal in the development world. So I have one bit of exciting news and some enhancements to share with you. So the first enhancement I'm going to share with you is that if you're using Callroute for Teams, then previously our health checker used to check whether you had deployed Teams direct routing successfully for Callroute as a one-time check. There were situations that sometimes, due to Microsoft replication, where some of the configuration would not take or not get deployed properly, and that would somewhat say lessen the first user experience perception of Callroute. So in the health checker now we have a button that says redeploy down here on the right. So if you go to the health checker and scroll all the way down, if for whatever reason the deployment of the direct routing service doesn't take to your tenant, you can click that button and we will redeploy that to you. This is useful if you've accidentally deleted any of our direct routing configuration in your Teams tenant and want to reinstate that. You can just come here and click on this redeploy. The other feature, I guess, or improvement to the Teams direct routing app is that we've been asked a few times on what is our least privileged service account user that can manage Teams through Callroute. So when we do the initial deployment of Callroute into your tenant, we ask for quite high elevated permissions, and this is to register the SBC domain into your Microsoft tenant to license that domain and activate the SIP domain element, so that we can then go and configure the Teams direct routing configuration. Then once that initial deployment is over with, we don't need those elevated permissions anymore. We can drop that service account down to a lesser permission. So there are two roles that you can reduce the connected user, the service account to, depending on what you're using Callroute for. So if you're using Callroute purely for Microsoft Teams direct routing and telephony, and you're not using our auto product, you can drop this service account down to the new Teams phone administrator role that Microsoft released a few weeks ago. This gives just enough permission to the service account to assign the voice routing policies, assign dial plans, assign phone numbers, and that's all we need from a user permission perspective. So if you're using us for direct routing, as I say, without auto, you can drop that service account down to the Teams phone administrator, which is the least privileged role possible. If you're using us for auto, whether that's auto standard or auto pro, you will need to drop the service account role down to Teams administrator from global admin, if that's what you have. The reason for that, and the reason the difference between that, is that the Teams phone administrator and the Teams communication administrator roles only allow the account to apply anything voice related configuration to the user account. It doesn't permit us going into Teams groups, for instance, and assigning the user as a member or owner of the Teams. So if you're using auto for everything other than team group assignment, you can go down to Teams phone administrator. But if you're using the team group element of auto, whether that's manually or in the automated section of the Auto Pro, then you will need the Teams administrator role assigned to that account. There is documentation up on our website, our help site. So if you go to help.callroute.com and onto our documentation, we have a section under the prerequisites section where we will detail this out for you. So if you're deploying Callroute voice, this is what you need. And then if you're deploying auto, this is what you need. And we have a new section here on descoping your service account as well. So this goes into detail of what you need for permission wise, depending on what you're using Callroute for. The other things that you might notice on the team side of things, we used to have a sync users button here on the right hand side, and we had an actions button here on top. The new actions button was released last month with a note to say that we would be moving or replacing that sync users button with the action button. So everything is under here where you'd expect it. If you want to sync users, you can just click the actions button and click the sync users button here. We now fully support Entra ID groups as well. So, and this is for Auto Pro. So previously, when we go look at the auto provisioning rules, and we created you created conditions, we would match the user attributes inside the user object of the user account in Entra ID. So if you populated your directory correctly, you could then target or those users by those attributes to then provision experience. We were aware that might not be suitable for some customers where those attributes aren't up to date or they aren't fit for purpose for this purpose to be able to accurately target users for provisioning. So what we now do is we allow you to target group membership as well. So any Microsoft 365 group or Entra ID security group that's synced to your tenant, you can then target, and when we sync the groups in, you can target those groups in here to say that if the user is a member of these groups, then provision the rules accordingly. So I think that's it for the auto provisioning side of things. And from the team's service improvements, the biggest improvement that we have is the release of Microsoft Single Sign-On for admin users. And this is what we've been working on for mostly for the last few weeks. So previously, you would have to invite a user, an admin user, to Callroute, create their account. They would have their local password, and they would then use the Callroute identity to sign into the admin portal. We now give you the option to sign in with your Microsoft 365 identity, so that you can now control access to Callroute fundamentally using your Microsoft identity in Entra ID. So if somebody leaves, just disable their account in Entra ID, and that automatically will prevent them having access to the Callroute portal. You'll notice that the sign-in screen has changed. I'm logged in here, but you'll have two options. One to log in with the Callroute identity, or one to log in with single sign-on. You will need to set up single sign-on before you log in with it, so that we're able to match the Microsoft authentication domains that you have in your tenant with Callroute. So you do that over here. If you go into the admin section, and then under access control, we'll see a link here for Microsoft Single Sign-On, and this is the configuration page here. So the first thing that you'll need to do is connect to your Microsoft tenant. So you connect with your Microsoft tenant. We sign in with global admin permission initially. And what this will do is it will ask for for consent for essentially reading your domains, and for OpenID as well, so that we can do the single sign-on. And then you will need to grant on behalf of your consent on behalf of your organisation here. And these are all we're asking for, really. So the least permission as possible required to do authentication. Click accept, and then we're taken back, and we can see here that one of my domains is now synchronized in, and it's gone into the enabled domains. And the reason that happens straight away is that it looks at the user roles in Callroute, sorry, user accounts in Callroute. So here, if we go to the users, we can see here I've got an account in my commsverse.com domain. We will then automatically enable those domains. Any users that have a domain, a user account, those domains will be activated. We'll also synchronize all the other domains that are in the tenant, your tenant in Microsoft, and they will show up as disabled, so that only users who sign in with a commsverse.com UPN, for instance, will be authenticated with Callroute. And if you want to add domains in, you can slide them over, and if you want to deactivate them, you can slide them back. The automatically create new accounts on sign in, when this is toggled on, what will happen is when you've connected to for single sign on, anybody within the enabled domains will be able to sign in to Callroute using that domain. When the automatic create accounts sign in is toggled off, what will happen is if they pass authentication with Microsoft, when that authentication comes back to Callroute, we will give them a message saying that they don't have any roles or any access to Callroute, to please contact their system administrator. When this is toggled on, what happens in that situation is that we will create an approval in Callroute. So we'll create an account that's in a pending state that won't have any roles assigned, and then you'll get an email that says this person has signed into Callroute. Do you approve their access? And you can come into Callroute and then approve or decline their access, and then assign them the roles. The allow local password reset, this is toggled off by default. So anybody who signs in with a with a single sign-on account will not be able to reset their password or log in with a Callroute password, for instance. So there'll be no way for them to change their login method, or bypass the single sign-on method. If you tick this on, then you allow for accounts to be created in Callroute and authentication to happen within Callroute, as well as Microsoft single sign-on as well. So that's useful for break glass accounts. So if single sign-on is down, you can still sign in with a Callroute account. This button here that says disable login for all users. So what that will do is that any user who has a Callroute account, at the moment you click this button, it will stop the local sign-in method, stop their being able to use their Callroute password to log in, and from that moment on they will need to use their single sign-on credentials instead. You can override these as well, so that if you want to create a break glass account, let's say you have all the admins set to local sign-in disabled, they all must use single sign-on to sign in, you can come in here and create an account that is a break glass account where you can use the Callroute authentication to do that. So let me show you how the approval system works and how we can create all that as well. So now we're going to look at what happens when I sign in with an account in Microsoft but that account doesn't exist in Callroute. So click on the sign in with Microsoft button. I'm going to choose an account. We'll sign in. And now we get a message saying the account's pending approval. So if I head over to my admin section, I can go and search for approval. So I can see here that this account has requested sign into Callroute. So they can't actually access any of the portal until I do something here. And I can approve or reject that this request. So I can, if I want to reject it, I can just simply click on the reject button, and they will then get an email to say that the access is being rejected, and you can give them a custom message as to the reason why it's rejected if you want to. If you want to approve it, you can go and assign them a role. Let's say we're going to assign them full admin access, and we can give a message as well that we send to them on approval, and that could just be something like a ticket reference number or something like that. We click on approve, and we can see here that the request has been approved, and if we go back to the users, we can now see that the account has been enabled for Callroute and has the appropriate user role assigned. The Microsoft flag denotes that they're signing in with the Callroute sign-in. If we expand this, we can also see the icon has changed to a padlock to say that the local login is disabled. That means they won't be able to use the password reset feature in Callroute and log on with a local account. So the only method for them to log in is using their single sign-on. If you want to override that, you can come to the settings and you can toggle this on to allow local login. And this is if you want to enable a break glass account, for instance. The email that they will receive will look like this. So on approval, they'll get the registrations approved, then their name, their email address, who it's approved by, any custom message that they get. So that is it for the single sign-on experience. If you want to disable single sign-on, I guess, really, it's the last one, then all you'll need to do is drag the enabled domains into disabled domains. And then if you do that, don't forget to enable the local login for your admin users, otherwise you'll be locked out of the system. You'll have to raise a support ticket. If you, in the future, buy an additional domain and you want to bring that domain in for single sign-on, just simply hit the reconnect with Microsoft and we'll bring in the new domains for you. There's no need to go into and reconnect with Microsoft on any regular basis. It's a one-time setup thing. We do have on our documentations page, if we go here, go to the Callroute features, go to Callroute administrators and Microsoft single sign-on, we have a very detailed documentation page on everything you need to know about single sign-on, how to activate it, how to manage it, etc. So please check that out. So that's it for the updates for this month. For the month of April, after Easter, what we're going to be focusing on is enhancing our reporting capabilities. So we're going to be bringing in new reports for number management, so you'll be able to see how your number ranges are being used, which ranges might need attention, or more numbers you might be running out of, etc. And we're also going to be improving our CDR reports as well to make them more intuitive for you to use better. So watch the space, and thank you very much for listening, and I will see you after Easter. Have a great one if you celebrate Easter, and if you're off for the 4 days, let's hope the weather's nice for you. It's not promised anything great where I am, but hopefully you'll see some sun, some fair weather. Thank you very much, and I shall see you end of April.